It says the lateral horn is visible from T2 to L1.
Did I say?
I didn't know it was right because I said two different things. It says T2 to L1 on this one.
Which chapter is that?
This is chapter 13. It says gray matter on the slide. I can show you.
But I mean, what chapter 15?
It was chapter 13. It just said lateral horn, visible from T2 to L1.
Lateral horn visible.
Visible.
What I'm looking at now is the actual exit between the bones. So you either the bones articulate to the vertebra above it or to the vertebra below it. Okay, so what they're telling us is it's going to exit from the first one, which is technically C7, above it.
Okay.
So it's exiting from that, and then L2 means it's articulating with L3. So the lateral horn is visible from point to point, but the exit is here to here.
Great. Thank you.
So now it goes to the chain ganglia, these, that I wanted you to look at. All right? So what we're going to see is along the spinal cord, the chain. And we call that the sympathetic chain ganglia. Now, we do see that even though it's considered coming from T and L, which we have associated with these areas of the body, it will serve all areas of the body because the chain travels. All right? The chain travels. This is what it looks like in the cadaver. You actually get to see the chain along the side of the bones. Now, if we look at a picture representation, this is what it's telling us. The nerve cell body is in the lateral horn. My fiber exits, and we can have exits coming from the thoracic, the lumbar areas. That fiber that exits has to go to my sympathetic chain ganglia. So I have exits on both sides. They will meet these ganglia. Do the ganglia only match up to the T and the L portions? No. The chain goes up and down. So that tells me that somehow my information that needs to leave needs to travel either very quickly to the second one, or I need to travel up or down. Is everybody following me so far with the sympathetic chain? So my fiber that exits from the spinal cord makes its way to the sympathetic chain. So I have to service the entire body. Note, I got to service areas of the head all the way down to the pelvic region. So that tells me that information that passes out from my central nervous system has to make it to areas where I can get to these parts of the body. Now follow my colors here. Okay? they are trying to show us that the preganglionic fiber is in green. My postganglionic fiber is red. Now, if information for the sympathetic division, remember, the division that will begin the fight or flight. If I need to travel to the skin, my blood vessels, adipose tissue, I simply go from the spinal cord to the chain ganglia. In this case, the green synapses with the red right here in my chain ganglia. Does everybody see that? So this would be my pre-fiber, this would be my post-fiber. And if it needed to go to the skin, blood vessels, adipose tissue, and this part of the body, it would move up and travel out right there. It would move up and travel out right there. Move down, travel out. But my synapses are occurring within my chain. If I'm going to my skin, my blood vessels, or my adipose tissue, that synapse occurs right there in the chain. But I've got other parts of my body that need to be serviced. I need to service from my head to my pelvic region. Now, what do you see about the green and the red? Does the green synapse in the ganglia, in the sympathetic chain? No. It's going to travel to what we have in these ganglia right here, and there's only 3. Okay? So these are going to be ganglia that look at what happens to my fibers from the chain. They will exit and go to one of these 3.
Are there 3 on either side, or are there just 3?
These are just the 3 that will exist.
Okay, so the preganglionic neurosomas are only in the lateral horn, right?
Yeah.
So the post ones
are going to either be in my sympathetic chain ganglia or one of these 3 ganglia.
Okay, but they're also it's funny because the short the post is supposed to be long. Oh, that's why they're long.
They are still long.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why they're longer. Okay.
So these 3 ganglia, we have one that's called the celiac, one that's superior mesenteric, one that is inferior. This one, the celiac ganglion, and areas where it exists kind of create, have you ever heard of, well, you know, he got hit in the solar plexus, took him down? Okay, this is what's happening. It kind of creates a shock to all of these nerves, and stuff just kind of is like stopped for a few seconds. Now watch what happens. I had to leave by way of a spinal nerve, make the way to the chain ganglia. I didn't synapse. I continued to one of these 3, and from these 3, I now have my post leading to organs in my abdominal cavity. So this area from roughly T5 down. It's going to go through, hit 1, and I'm trying, why can't I remember the name of this ganglion? They have a name for them, and it's just totally leaving my head. One of these 3 ganglion, and look what happens. But there's one that I want you to see. I want to see if you can notice a difference about one of those. Which one? Where does it go?
Different organ.
Here we go. Yes. For this sympathetic division, the one for fight or flight, one of these fibers, which goes directly from the central nervous system to the medulla of, the adrenal gland of the kidney. It travels the entire distance to the kidney.
And that's what it produces, the epinephrine.
This is what produces my adrenaline. This is why, because remember, we're talking about sympathetic. It's getting you ready for fight or flight. So therefore, one of those hormones that gets produced is what we know as adrenaline, our epinephrine, norepinephrine. Okay? The synapse from that and this is the fiber coming directly from the nervous system. It synapses on cells, which are modified nerve cells, directly in the adrenal gland. This is why adrenaline ramps you up so quickly, because it's not making a pit stop. It is synapsing directly on the adrenal gland that produces it. And once it gets produced, because it is a hormone, it enters the bloodstream, and every organ it can target, it does. This is why it's easy for the adrenaline to get produced, difficult to calm it down.
What are the 3 ganglion names again?
Well, aren't they right there, the celiac ganglion?
Yeah,
Those are the names, but they have, like, the grouping of them has a name, and I can't remember it to save my life. I can't remember it to save my life. It's going to come to me as I'm walking down the street today. Okay? But the 3, we got a celiac, a superior mesenteric, and an inferior mesenteric. But now this has served my abdominal cavity. What about my thoracic and upper body? Let's follow the colors. Greens go to the chain.
They look longer though on the thing. And
On the
this is
green?
Shorter, right?
No, these are still short.
But look how short the red are. That's what's like.
No, these are the reds.
Oh, the one on the left side though. Okay.
Oh, this, well, that's just giving you a representation because it'll go directly to the area of the body.
Okay.
So like if we need it here, it's going to come right out here, here, here.
Okay.
Where these have to go to like other regions of the body. Watch what happens for my thoracic and up. Green comes to the chain. Now the synapse occurs in the chain, and those fibers go to areas, chest, rib cage, and up. So I had to travel out and up to these areas in the upper portion of the body. And then I don't have any ganglions they synapsed directly in the chain and went to their target organs. And since it's sympathetic, it's going to increase heart rate, it's going to dilate the pupils, it's going to increase your respiration rate, and so forth.